Right? Okay. Cool. We got it. Creature, we got it. We understand. It's your show. So what does that mean for all of us? What does that mean for me? You might be wondering. Good question. I can understand why you might hesitate. One, I've got the brain of a busted, broken Puritan. I don't know if I'm actually like photogenic. I don't care. Like, I would think that would be cisgendered and unbiased and like uncalled for. You might be curious. Are you going to be there for us, creature? What does it mean if you're in charge? I mean, you got a morning show. What are you actually going to do? Can you guide us in some way through this pain, this suffering? You've spoken some truth here, which is encouraging. But what are you going to do? I understand that. I do. I want you to know I feel your pain.
It depends upon what the meaning of the word is. Yeah.
I think maybe it was about this point that I started to be a gleam, as it were, in all your eyes.
Indeed, I did have a relationship with Miss Lewinsky that was not appropriate.
But don't worry, I feel your pain, I do. Well, what does that mean? There's a lot of pain out there these days, isn't there? There's a lot of suffering. Of course there is. Don't think I don't know that after all. I birthed trash. I birthed some right now. I'm well aware of the anxiety, the stress, the depression coursing through your body. I feel it all day. Why else do you think I tell you? This is a smorgasbord. Quite literally a buffet. And I'm growing. It's there. It shows up in your news feed, in conversations. Did you hear about what happened? Have you watched the news lately? This is why Carmela is not at work anymore. The other day, not long before we began shooting this special, there was a mass shooting in a small town not far from me, in Fall City, Washington. A young man killed 5 family members, shot a 6th. You're wondering, creature, you are transcendent now. It's hard to deny that, given what's happening. What does that mean? What are you gonna do? How are you gonna be there for us in these kind of times with these things? What is the future going to look like? What have we made? It's a fair question. It really is. It's fair. Let's go through it. I'm gonna play the press conference. We're gonna go through this together. I'm gonna let you know some of my thoughts that hit me. If you're curious about, where this is going. And whether or not there's any hope out there for any wisdom. I'm just gonna share with you what hit my mind, as it were, as I watched this conference.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Mellis. It's Mellis. I'm a deputy with the King County Sheriff's Office, and I'll be acting as the public information officer for this event this afternoon. I want to start out by saying, kind of a repeat from this morning for some of you. The information that I have right now is it's good. It's general. It's preliminary. because this investigation is still in its early stages, even though we're hours into this.
The first thing that comes to mind is obviously we have a white cop, which means we have a racist cop, so we need to be doing something about that. This person shouldn't be a spokesman, as it were, for the police department. Why is it that we're putting a white face out there to speak for the entire department? That is a supervisory position. How come we don't have a black person doing that? That's the first thing that came to mind while we were talking about this situation.
The information I give out or have given out could change at any time. We want to update it as possible, but things can change day to day, hour to hour, potentially. So with that, let me tell you what happened this morning. The King County Sheriff's Office received a few phone calls this morning, 911 calls, about some kind of disturbance with gunfire at a residential house behind us, the 7700 block of Lake Alice Road.
I think it's important to note, obviously, and nobody's noticed this yet, that this event is occurring on tribal lands. That this is, Snoqualmie tribe land, traditionally, historically, that was taken from them. And nobody's made that point yet. I think that needs to be said. Obviously, we're dealing with major things here. Let's stay grounded in what truly matters. And nobody has said that yet. So, well, obviously, I'm going to be working to replace that spokesperson with a person of color, and we'll make sure next time there's a mass shooting that right away they walk out and say, before we begin with the horrific death of 17 innocent people, I just want to acknowledge that these deaths occurred on, traditional tribal land. We got to keep our priorities in line here. Okay, I'll move on.
On the way out here, so deputies from all over the north part of King County came out here.
You'll see there's a bunch of cars there. I'm wondering if they couldn't have carpooled. Really? Like, we can't have a carpool? Why not, guys? I mean, we're burning up quite a few emissions there.
Sammamish, Snoqualmie Pass, as far as Redmond Ridge, all rushed out here at this call.
And that starts to make me wonder, well, if you're being this sloppy there, then I have a feeling that perhaps you're not eating plant-based cheese for the lunch break, and we're going to need to sort that out. Okay.
En route, we learned that there was a neighbor who had medical experience who was providing aid to an injured individual, presumably who had been shot but was surviving.
Okay, so this is the thing. All right, so a neighbor goes to jump over the fence to save someone. This is kind of like that achievement thing again, all right? Like, you're being an individual, you're out there, you went and got some training, you are a little bit of an eager beaver. I think that person needs to be brought in for some equity training. Toxic male. That's what I'm saying.
When deputies got here, they discovered sort of a chaotic scene, but what they did when they entered the property is they immediately took one young male.
There are a lot of pronouns being thrown around here. Has anyone noticed that? I sure hope so.
Teenage male into custody.
Come on. When, in the course of dealing with terrible things, it is extremely important that we stick to our priorities here. And during the discussion of this mass shooting, I have not heard one person announce their own pronouns, and they seem to be just throwing out, identifiers without doing the appropriate investigative techniques here. All right? So next time there's a mass shooting, I want everyone out there up front saying, I identify as he or she or whatever it might be, before they go into the details of just how many innocents have been killed. Which I, at this point, question just a little bit. Who is actually innocent here?
They discovered that there was in fact one injured teenager that teenager was given medical attention and was quickly transported to Harborview Medical Center.
So there's a lot of human-centric discussion here, right? It's very, well, look, nobody's talking about whether or not any trees were shot. Has any plant life been lost in this mass shooting? It occurred in a forested area. And let's not continue the same attitudes that have led to the deforestation of the Amazon, okay?
When deputies entered the residence and property itself, they discovered 5 deceased individuals inside the home.
Right. Now here's the kicker. This is the real kicker. A gun was involved. A gun. It might be interesting to note that there was another murder a few days before that involving family, and then at the same time, not using a gun, a son shot his father with a bow and arrow, all in my neck of the woods, as it were. However, the thing is it could be like, well, what's going on with families these days, and what's going on with human beings, and we really need to dive into the mental health crisis here and do something. But, like, where does that go, really? All right, that takes a lot of time. I mean, come on, give me a break. And aren't we trying to dismantle the nuclear family anyway, so that the children are more amenable to the rewriting of their consciences that we are engaged in every day in elementary education? Of course we are. So, gun control. Cammy from the block, as the master of the situation today, run with it, baby. Alright, that's it for our show today. Good job tuning in. Once we get the social credit score set up, you'll get a half a point. That's right. Don't worry, that's more than the Uyghurs get. Coming up next time on Rise and Shine Subjects. We're gonna have Chris Beavers here. Chris Beavers didn't make the cut this week. He'll be back, and we'll have some of his patented vegan comedy. And he'll have some more things to share, of course he will. We'll also have Nirvana. We're not Nirvana, and I'm not even sure we're close, but we're Nirvana. And maybe a little bit more about Woke Fart, and we'll see from there. Alright, so that's all for this week. Alarm clock. Nirvana, Cammy, Slip and Slide. What a show. Degrade, destroy, demean. Go get 'em, cunts.